You are 8 years old and the officials have arrived in your village. Your father sees them coming from the field and does not call out to warn you. He already knows there is nothing he can do about what happens next. They are looking for boys between 8 and 18 years old. They are looking for the healthy ones and the strong ones. You are both of those things, and that means you qualify for selection. By tonight, you may be gone and your family may never see you again. The Ottoman Devshirme system, the blood tax, ran for over 300 years. It took Christian boys from their families across the Balkans and turned them into soldiers. Not ordinary soldiers who fought for pay and went home. The most feared fighting force in the known world at that time. You will become one of them before you are old enough to understand what that means. You will have no say in any of it. This is what your life as a janissary actually looked like. Your village has been Christian for as long as anyone can remember. Under Ottoman rule, your family farms, pays taxes, and practices their faith quietly. The arrangement is not equal, but it is stable enough to live inside. Every few years, that stability is interrupted without warning. The chief of the janissaries issues a decree and the collectors arrive. They go first to the village priest because he holds the baptismal records. Every boy who was baptized in this village is on that list. The priest is required to hand those records to the officials without resistance. If he refuses to cooperate, the punishment is applied immediately and publicly. The community's most trusted figure is compelled to hand over its children. The officials work through the list with the efficiency of men who do this regularly. Each boy is inspected for physical health, strength, coordination, and correct age. The strongest and healthiest are selected and the others are sent back to their families. Your parents know this system because the collectors have come before. Some families in the region tried to protect their sons before the officials arrived. Some parents had their boys circumcised quickly to pass them off as Muslim. Muslims were technically exempt from the Devshirme in its early form. Some families arranged hasty marriages because married boys could sometimes be spared. Some parents made decisions that no parent should ever be forced to make. They broke their sons' fingers deliberately to make them fail the physical inspection. They damaged their children's eyes or cut their ears to create visible defects. A child with obvious physical damage could not be selected by the collectors. A healthy child could not remain behind when the officials came for him. Your parents made no such decision about you. You stand before the inspector and you pass every requirement he checks. The official makes a mark beside your name on the priest's list. Your mother reaches towards you as they prepare to move you away. An official steps between you and her without looking at either of you. You leave the village before the sun sets that same evening. You do not know when you will see your family again. You will spend years learning that the answer is almost certainly never. The journey to Istanbul takes weeks, and you make it with hundreds of other boys. Most of them are as frightened as you are, but none of them admit it openly. None of them chose to be here, and none of them know what comes next. When you arrive, the first thing the Empire does is take your name away. You are given a Turkish name, and you will use it from this point forward. The second thing the Empire does is remove your religion from you. You are converted to Islam formally, and the conversion is not presented as a choice. The third thing the Empire does is take the language your mother used to speak to you. You learn Ottoman Turkish, Arabic, and Persian starting immediately. The language of your village begins to fade within the first year of training. Within a few years, it will feel like a memory that belongs to someone else entirely. You are placed with a Turkish family to begin your integration into Ottoman life. You learn their customs, their prayers, and their way of moving through the world. You are not their child, and they are not your family in any real sense, but they are the closest thing to a family you will have for a long time. After this placement, your military training begins, and it does not stop for years. You train in combat, weapons, tactics, and horsemanship under strict supervision. The discipline expected of you is absolute, and the punishments for failures are immediate. You are forbidden from any contact with your old family or your old community. The Empire is not doing this to punish you for something you did. The Empire is remaking you into something that belongs entirely to the state. Something with no loyalties that exist outside the Janissary core and the Sultan himself. By the time your training is complete, you are not the boy who left the village. You are something the Empire spent years designing from the raw material of a child. You are a janissary, and that is the only identity that exists for you now. Being a janissary comes with things your village life never offered you. You are paid a regular salary at a time when most soldiers fight only for plunder. You are housed, fed, and equipped by the Empire at its own expense. You hold a status that makes powerful men move out of your way when you approach. You are part of the Sultan's own household troops, the closest soldiers to the throne. You are considered the finest fighting force in the known world, and that reputation is earned. But the Empire marks you every single day in ways designed to remind you of what you actually are. You are not permitted to marry for the first 2 centuries of the Janissary tradition. You are not permitted to own property of any kind. You are not permitted to grow a beard on your face. Beards in the Ottoman world are a visible mark of a free Muslim man. You are permitted to grow a mustache, but the beard remains forbidden to you. Every morning when you look at your own face, you see the line the Empire has drawn. You are powerful in ways that ordinary men cannot imagine. You are also not free in any sense that matters to the life of a person. You live in garrison with the other janissaries because you have nowhere else to go. The core becomes your family because the Empire made certain you have no other. The men beside you are the only people alive who understand what was taken from you. You share the same training, the same mustache, the same barracks, and the same absence. The absence is the village, the family, the faith, the name, the face you were born with. None of that was offered back to you. None of it was ever going to be returned to you. You fight campaigns across 3 continents on behalf of an empire that owns you. You helped the Ottoman Empire become one of the largest and most powerful in history. Your core is present at the conquest of Constantinople and at battles that reshaped the world. You are standing at the center of history because an official marked your name on a list. The Empire chose all of this for you when you were 8 years old. You were never asked if this was the life you wanted. The Empire built the Janissary system on a very specific idea. Boys taken young from families with no connection to Ottoman power would be completely loyal. They would have no tribe, no dynasty, no inheritance to protect except their place in the core. They would serve the Sultan with a devotion that free soldiers could never match. This logic held for roughly 200 years, and it worked exactly as designed. Then it stopped working, and it stopped completely. As the core grew in power and size, the janissaries began to understand what they had become. They started passing their positions to their own sons, breaking the founding principle of the system. They accumulated wealth and property despite the prohibitions that were supposed to prevent this. They became a political force that the Sultan could not ignore and increasingly could not manage. In 1622, Sultan Osman II decided the janissaries had grown too expensive and too powerful. He announced plans to reduce their pay and create a new army to eventually replace them. The janissaries responded by removing him from the throne by force. Then they executed him in his cell. They murdered the man they had been created specifically to protect. The institution built to produce perfect and absolute loyalty had instead produced men who committed regicide. The sultans they would have no tribe, no dynasty, no inheritance to protect except their place in the core. They would serve the Sultan with a devotion that free soldiers could never match. This logic held for roughly 200 years, and it worked exactly as designed. Then it stopped working, and it stopped completely. As the core grew in power and size, the janissaries began to understand what they had become. They started passing their positions to their own sons, breaking the founding principle of the system. They accumulated wealth and property despite the prohibitions that were supposed to prevent this. They became a political force that the Sultan could not ignore and increasingly could not manage. In 1622, Sultan Osman II decided the janissaries had grown too expensive and too powerful. He announced plans to reduce their pay and create a new army to eventually replace them. The janissaries responded by removing him from the throne by force. Then they executed him in his cell. They murdered the man they had been created specifically to protect. The institution built to produce perfect and absolute loyalty had instead produced men who committed regicide. The sultans they would have no tribe, no dynasty, no inheritance to protect.